Hello viewers, this video is a follow-up to my previous one, Think Before You Dox. Sean, aka Think Before You Sleep, has responded to it with some claims on Twitter and during a live stream. And I'm gonna cut right to the chase here. Sean is doing some suspicious activities right now with all of these claims. Almost immediately after its release, Sean began misrepresenting my video's arguments with straw mans and also just lying in strange, obvious ways. So today we'll be going through these claims one by one. He is apparently working on a response video. However, I have a feeling that if I don't correct these false claims now, then we're gonna end up with a feature-length film of him just trying to argue with me over things I never said. I don't feel like wasting everyone's time having to put you through that, so let's just nip this one in the bud, as whoever says that says. Sean's first claims about my video came in a Twitter thread from April 29th, which is the day after my video's release. Let's start there.
I guess I'll have to talk about it here because I can't say it on YouTube right now. A few minutes ago I opened up YouTube to a message saying that my first video on Illymation has been removed for cyberbullying. I have been accused of harassing someone or using slurs to talk about someone's intrinsic traits. I didn't do that. Anyone who watched the video can see I didn't do that, so I have appealed the video. But it's YouTube, so even though I didn't break the rules, we'll see what happens. Curiously, this occurred shortly after Noah Samson released a video on me yesterday that was so bad faith that I can't believe he actually hit the upload button. This video, multiple times, accuses me of doxing Illymation and encouraging doxing. He basically says I doxed Alyssa in his video title, and his claims in the video get so ridiculous that at 14 minutes he literally accuses me of trying to get Alyssa killed, simply because I made a video saying, I don't like your video, and colluding with your followers to mass flag my channel is messed up.
Alright, so let's just go through these one by one. Sean claims that I accused him of doxing Illymation. Sean. Come on, man. You know that's not true. I never accused you of doxing her. I never accused you of calling for her doxing either. I actually very clearly stated the opposite, that you both did not ask anyone to dox her. Sean didn't ask anyone to dox or harass Illy, and that I don't think you made your video with the intent of her getting doxed. Do I think that Sean made his video with the intent of Illy getting doxed? No, I don't. Sean here also claims that my video's title is basically a doxing accusation. Maybe I don't have to explain this one, but just in case. Think Before You Dox is a play on words about the fact that she got doxed and the fact that Sean's channel was a part of that process. This title does not specify action or intent. These claims are perplexing, but it seems like they've already started to catch on. Commenters and creators alike are repeating this around the web, saying that I accused him of doxing.
And I think that is one of the most irresponsible and dishonest and malicious things that you can do, is accuse somebody of doxing, because some crazy psychopaths in their audience took things way too far and doxed somebody because they don't like them.
None of them are showing proof or giving timestamps to evidence this claim because they can't, because those don't exist, because this didn't happen. The drama content Human Centipede is back in action, and for it, I am no match, I fear. Next, Sean claims that I accused him of encouraging doxing. He repeats this claim later in the thread. I never used the word encourage to describe Sean's actions, and this isn't just a semantic distinction, I don't think. Encouragement, to me, implies intent. And if that encouragement is coming from Sean himself, as his claim denotes, then it also implies a direct engagement with the audience on that point. He didn't do that, though. He didn't allude to harassment at any point, let alone ask for it directly. And I never said he did. Now, do I think that his videos fostered an environment that motivated viewers to harass her? Absolutely. That was sort of my video's whole argument. I supported this argument by going over the 3 ideas that Sean fabricated, showing how he used those fabricated ideas to make inflammatory accusations, both of which were then cited directly by the doxers as their motivations for doxing. Him creating those circumstances doesn't mean that he directly encouraged the doxing himself. The fact that he didn't, that he caused it without encouraging it directly, is an important part of this whole situation, I think. If he had directly encouraged it, then he'd be banned, and we wouldn't be talking about this right now. We'd be gaming. Now, if you disagree with me with those examples or that line of thinking, that's fine. However, if you want to argue against those claims, then first we need to be on the same page about what they actually are. If we can't agree upon reality, then any further debate is going to be a complete waste of time. In this same paragraph, Sean claims that I accused him of trying to get Alyssa killed. He made a similar claim on Tom Dark's live stream on May 2nd.
After basically accusing me of attempted murder, I can't assume that Noah would use any sort of good faith argumentation there.
So where is he getting this idea? Well, in his tweet, he references a sequence from the 14-minute mark of my video. The start of this clip is me reading a post from the doxing thread, and then I go on to my conclusion. I hate this lying Jewish blank with all my heart. She needs to die. The new video she made is promoting childhood obesity. She is a cancer to this world and needs to be rotting 6 feet under the ground. This comment is from the doxing thread. They stated they were going to visit her in California. They said they wanted her dead, and at that point, they knew where she lived. Thankfully, Illy was able to move before anything violent happened, but if this person, for example, had taken action, Sean's video very well could have been what pushed them over the edge. Sean really doesn't seem interested in paying attention to other people's words. I said, if this person or someone like them had taken action, Sean's video could have been what pushed them over the edge. Sean has distorted this claim into me saying that he tried to get her killed. This is just kind of ridiculous, right? My words make no comment on his intent. The idea that his video could push someone into violence doesn't mean that he made it with that goal. I don't believe he did, and I said as much in my video. As far as my actual claim, I'm pretty sure I'm correct. I absolutely believe that his videos could have pushed someone over the edge into violence. This person in the doxing thread clearly hated Illy. Their post was riddled with statements wishing death and injury upon her. The only one that wasn't was the line about her promoting childhood obesity, which was an idea they pulled straight from the conclusion of Sean's video. To argue that this could not have led to violence, that seems kind of difficult. If Sean wants to try, though, he can, but first he needs to understand what my argument actually is. Another thing I want to address here is the way that Sean represents my characterization of his video's content. Sean describes his own video as just a little bit of criticism. He claims that all he did was tell Illy, I don't like your video, and colluding with your followers to mass flag my channel is messed up. In this tweet here, he is presenting this diluted description of his video as if it were my own. He positions it as my rationale for the also mischaracterized arguments he attributed to me just before. This is sort of discombobulating though, right? The entire video I made was an argument against this idea, an argument that what he did was not a mere case of criticism, but one of open malice. So why is he putting these words in my mouth? Well, because he needs to be the victim. If all he'd said was these two innocuous statements, and if I'd responded to them by accusing him of attempted murder, then yeah, he would be the victim. But that's not what happened. Neither of those claims are true. So to maintain his victim status, he has to distort reality. He has to go to school, study hard, and then get a PhD in Strange. Doctor Strange. Is this upsetting to you? Should I leave? Moving on to the second tweet thread, which is from the next day. This one begins with a screenshot of YouTube's message to Sean that his second appeal had been rejected.
What a shock. YouTube has yet again decided to change its rules for someone who doesn't have the approved politics and uphold a strike on a video that did not violate its guidelines. The specific wording on the rule they accused me of breaking was use of racial slurs and making fun of intrinsic traits. I did not use any racial slurs and I did not poke fun at any intrinsic traits. Intrinsic traits are things that you cannot change, such as your race or certain facial features. I never comment negatively on people's intrinsic traits because that's messed up. But hey YouTube, if this is the new standard and Noah Samsen seems to think mass flagging is okay because he never denounced it, which is something that every reactor did when they saw the video, even the ones who hate me. Noah spent several minutes caping for mass flagging and saying it's not that bad. That being said, YouTube, I have 3 videos for you to strike where Noah made fun of my voice. One of which, the entire bit of his video was making fun of the way I talk.
Sean claims that I said that mass flagging isn't that bad. He also concludes that I must think mass flagging is okay because I never denounced it. This isn't true. I never commented one way or another about the morality of mass flagging. I didn't say it was good or bad. And just because I didn't denounce it doesn't mean that I endorse it. My critiques of the mass flagging allegations did not concern morality. They were about ethics. A bunch of people, Sean included, called what she did an attempted deplatforming. I argued that this was false because while flagging can lead to deplatforming, that doesn't make these terms interchangeable. The fact that they were wrongfully conflated here was perhaps the biggest contributor to the hate campaign that led to Illy's doxing. On YouTube, wrongfully calling for someone's deplatforming is a serious transgression with serious consequences, as we saw. A bunch of people, Sean included, insinuated that Illy's call for mass flagging was a unique threat to Sean's video being removed. I argued that it wasn't because from everything I could find, the act of mass flagging does not affect the actual review process itself, as in how the YouTube reviewers decide to rule. A bunch of people, Sean included, claimed that Illy was sending her millions of subscribers to flag his video. I argued that this was false because her flagging post was not made on YouTube, where those millions of subscribers are, but on Tumblr to 0.1% of her audience in a post that had an engagement rate of 0.01% of that audience. None of these arguments contain a moral claim about whether or not mass flagging is good or bad. They are critiques of the misinformation being spread about it and the exaggerations about the figures that were cited. Now, since my video's release, I've seen a bunch of counter-arguments presented about this section specifically, about deplatforming, and some of them do have merit. I'm not going to be addressing them in this video because they are irrelevant to Sean's claims here, but I plan on doing that in my next video. As for those lines about intrinsic traits, I'm glad Sean brought up the thing about his voice. I see this a lot, both Sean and his fans arguing that the comments making fun of his voice are making fun of an intrinsic characteristic, and thus, by YouTube's guidelines, this is bullying and technically a reportable offense. But this is kind of a sneaky little trick here. Sean's video voice is not an intrinsic characteristic because it's not his actual voice. His actual voice is pretty normal, and he knows that and has admitted as much. Here is him using his normal voice to describe how it is different from his reading voice.
Like, I can't do my reading voice. In fact, I've been trying to change it to my regular voice, but it's difficult. Like, I don't know how I get into that mode. I just have to be very, like, I really hate recording. So I just have to be in the mode where I really don't like what I'm doing, and then that's how I get the higher pitch voice, because your voice will pitch up when you're more tense.
Notice in that clip his claim that he is trying to change his reading voice.
I've been trying to change it to my regular voice.
If you can change it, then it's not immutable, man. So to me, it seems like comments about his reading voice fall more under the category of a stylistic critique, criticism to improve the form of his videos. Kind of like when people say that they can't watch my videos because I look like I'm wearing a Joe Dirt Halloween costume and it's distracting. I could fix that for them. I could shave my mullet and my mustache. I'm not going to because I look great, but this is ultimately a critique of form, not of an immutable characteristic. Same goes with Sean's video voice, in my opinion. On this same point about his voice, sorry, I know this is just like stupid, but it's a weird lie that I saw a bunch of people repeating, so may as well. Sean claims that I made a video where the entire bit was making fun of how he talks. This is not true. I made a video about a text post that Sean had put on his community tab, and because he didn't make a video about it, it was just text, I had Andrewism read the post because I wanted to have audio and I like Andrewism's voiceover voice a lot. My decision to do this was a product of something that Sean himself suggested. TLDR, people I disagree with are wrong. Also, if you don't want to read it, then use text-to-speech. Full screen a stock image, and it will be just like watching a video of mine. He's got a sense of humor here, which I think that's good. But instead of doing text-to-speech, I had a better idea. I'm gonna soothe the audience's ear wounds suffered in the last video by having someone with a smooth, calming voice read Think Before You Sleep's voice lines. Andrewism is the one. He will be doing that today. Hi, Andrewism. Great bit, honestly. So I had a friend with a nice voice read some lines because they needed to be read. It seems a little bit dishonest to characterize that as an entire video making fun of his voice. But again, even if it was, by Sean's own admission, his reading voice is not immutable. Therefore, by his own logic, critiquing it is totally fine to do. The last point I want to address today is a claim from Sean that I said he was responsible for the doxing. He made this claim on the live stream.
Yeah, he's basically saying that. I mean, he said it straight up in the video multiple times that I'm responsible for it. So I don't think, and even if you backtracked and gaslighted on it and said, oh no, I don't actually believe that, well, you still put it in the video multiple times, so you obviously do.
So Sean's claim that I said straight up in the video multiple times that he is responsible is false. I never used the word responsible in my video. You might hear say, well, come on, Noah, he's obviously saying that you implied it with statements like Sean's videos caused the doxing. How can his videos cause the doxing without him also being responsible for it? And I think that's a valid question, so let's explore it. When people ask, is Sean responsible for these people's actions? That question can be answered in two different ways, from a moral perspective and then from an ethical perspective. When people online ask this question, they're usually asking it at the ethical level, as in not just is he responsible, but also should he be held responsible by YouTube? Should he face consequences, channel strike or deplatforming? That's ethics, right? It concerns the agreed upon rules of being a creator on YouTube. During that stream, we've been looking at Turkey Tom Dark. I guess we just call him Turkey, or we could call him Tom. He sent me a message that I think serves as a good example of how this works.
My biggest question would be if you think that TBYS should be held responsible for the actions of a third-party site that doxed Illy. I agree his video about it was kind of silly, but from my perspective, it's not really his fault. Some people took it too far, especially considering you never support the kind of behavior from what I've seen. From what I saw, your video was somewhat vague with the wording, or maybe I just find it dumb. You would truly blame him for what they did, but yeah, looking for a more elaboration if you have any.
In response to those questions, I asked a clarifying question, which was, held responsible in what sense? Tom then responded with, well, from your perspective, is he responsible and what should YouTube do about it? So there, notice that when I asked him for a single definition of responsibility, he answered it with two different questions. Is he responsible? and what should YouTube do about it? The latter question is an ethical one, right? Because it concerns platform consequences. If I say yes to that first question, that I do think he's responsible, but no to the second, that I don't think he should be held responsible by YouTube, that sounds nonsensical. He's responsible, but shouldn't be held responsible? What are you saying, man? The fuck are you saying, you fucking idiot? It's not, though, if we're on the same page about what these questions mean. My issue with this framing is that blame and responsibility are treated as a binary. Either you are or you aren't. I think situations like these are gray areas that are worth exploring. Obviously, he didn't ask anyone to dox her, but I do think that with his videos, he created the conditions under which something like that was very likely to happen. My decision to make no claims as to what YouTube should do about it was intentional. I didn't comment on the validity of her report, let alone ask for the video's removal, because my opinion on those things is irrelevant to my critiques. I just addressed the circumstances around it and why I think a lot of the claims made about the situation were false. Not only false, but super inflammatory, like his claims that her videos will end up killing fat people or endangering her child audience. Is it not worth it to examine why the people on the third-party site all shared motivations that were pulled directly from his videos? If my arguments about how he conjured those narratives are correct, then wouldn't that put at least some responsibility on him for this chain of events, given that the things he, in my opinion, fabricated were their main motivations? Tom then summarizes my messages to Sean.
So he's basically saying he believes you fabricated stuff about her, therefore they did this, therefore you are partially responsible, is basically what he's saying.
So he adds that qualifying word of partially, which is a more accurate summary of my claims, because it includes the caveat that I'm not saying that Sean is responsible in a definitive sense, one that would necessitate some kind of punishment. When he responds, though, Sean ignores that qualifier.
Yeah, he's basically saying that, I mean, he said it straight up in the video multiple times that I'm responsible for it. So I don't think, and even if you backtracked and gaslighted on it and said, oh, no, I don't actually believe that, well, you still put it in the video multiple times, so you obviously do.
This is exactly why I did not use that word, responsible. Because while yes, I do think Sean is responsible, absolutely. If I'd said so, if I'd used that word, then he would have immediately taken that as me saying he should be deplatformed, even though I never claimed that he broke the rules, never called for his deplatforming, never argued for his video's removal, and never even commented one way or another on the validity of Illy's report. Despite that, though, we can see that he's already doing that.
Said it straight up in the video multiple times that I'm responsible for it.
And based on the claims he's made here, he's definitely going to do it in the video, which is precisely why I decided to make this one. I'm here to try to do some discourse, not put out other people's dumpster fires for them. And I can already smell it and I see the smoke. I want the smoke, okay? But not the stinky doo-doo dumpster smoke. No, thank you. Thank you, but no. Thank you, but no.
I think this is a dangerous road to walk down where creators are held responsible for the actions of their audience, because there could easily be a case in the near future where Noah paints a narrative about someone, whether he's correct or not, and then somebody doxes them, and then he is now held responsible.
If I lied to make a narrative about someone and that ended up with them getting doxed, then I could absolutely be responsible for that. Could I be held responsible, though? As in, by YouTube? Channel struck or deplatformed? Well, that depends on whether or not I broke the rules. If I did, then yes. If not, then no. But that shouldn't then erase any and all forms of responsibility that I have for those consequences just because I didn't break the rules. But that's how it happens. That's how people treat it. In Sean's case, I think he acted in a deeply freakish manner and caused the doxing. But since he did so, apparently without breaking the rules, then on the responsibility binary, he is at 0. And 0 means that he's a beautiful, perfect, sweet angel that has done no wrong ever. And given everything I showed in the prior video, that doesn't seem like the most accurate characterization of his role in the story, which is why the binary sucks. Many such cases. Sean has in prior videos spoken about the importance of being open to engaging with alternate perspectives.
When you're watching this stuff, you cannot watch it as if you're only watching it to crap on every point the person makes. You need to watch this stuff and interpret their ideas as if you were the person trying to explain them. Because if you're just sitting there taking the worst interpretations of everything they say, then you aren't helping yourself. You'll learn nothing by doing that, because your closed-mindedness will prevent their ideas from causing you to critically think about your own ideas, which is the whole point of engaging with opposition. We all have ideas that are wrong, and the only way to find the right ones is to listen to people who will challenge what we believe.
I agree with everything he said there. However, given how he has already decided to publicly mutilate my video's criticism beyond recognition to make some truly wild, unsubstantiated claims,
Basically accusing me of attempted murder.
I'm a bit skeptical that he will stick to his supposed principles here. But now that my critiques are out there, we can await his response in peace, excitedly and gleefully, with keen eyes, ready to look out for the sneaky tactics we saw on display today. The topic is apparently my journalistic integrity, whatever that is. So look forward to that. I'll have a response to the wider commentary community's criticisms soon. I'm actually weirdly hopeful that that might yield some positive discourse. I don't know, who knows. Apologies about the shirtless 9-year-old version of me from the last video. That was perhaps the most polarizing artistic decision ever made by anyone in history, but ultimately it had to be abandoned just so you can all watch my videos without having to turn your screen's brightness down to 0 so people don't think you're some type of pervert. I'll be back on camera soon enough though, but in the meantime, you get the purple guy. Anyways, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Also, thanks to everyone who supported Illy's GoFundMe. The goal was reached within the first 2 days, so that's super cool. Check out my Patreon if you want to know that stuff, and yeah, bye.